Today I'm going through my yarn stash. Let's rank the yarn that I have. If you've been on the internet the last several years, there's good odds you've come across this tier ranking chart. The basic idea is whatever you're ranking, you give it a grade. The S tier is the absolute best elite yarn, and the D tier is the worst of the worst. Now, I am going to be a little bit harder on these yarns than I actually think about them, because pretty much any yarn I own, it's because I like using it. So I might be really tough on some yarns that honestly I will still keep using going forward. I've got a few criteria to rank the yarn. I'm not going to include cost in it because the cost is so variable. Plus I don't crochet with any super expensive bougie yarn. But the criteria I will be using includes the colorways the yarn's available in, how easy the yarn is to crochet with, does it have a good center pull / how much does it or doesn't it tangle, and how well the yarn holds up in a finished project. Oh no! So first up, I just made a mess of these. This is the animation yarn from KnitPicks and WeCrochet.com. This is the primary color pack. It's mercerized cotton, and they come in these cute little baby skeins. These are small because the idea is for them to be used for amigurumi, which is how I've been using them. As far as colors go, you know what, if you've got the primary colors, I feel like you're doing pretty solid. So it's gonna earn some points there. I really like working with cotton, and I really like working with mercerized cotton because it very minimally splits, if at all. Because it's mercerized and has that really good structure to it, it also works up so beautifully as far as stitch definition goes. Now, what hook brand and hook size I use can play a role in how challenging or easy it is to crochet with this. I can go to a pretty small hook and still crochet with it pretty well. Sometimes if I go too small, I will end up splitting the yarn. But I did get clover hooks last year for Christmas, and yeah, the clover hooks, they work great for this. Now, as far as center pull goes, these do not have like an easy, ready to grab center pull. However, I have been center pulling all of them. I had to kind of dig in and pull out the inner, the innards of the yarn skein and pull out like a little baby size skein out of the already baby size skein and get to the inside that way. For most of them, I was able to do that pretty well. Some of them, I basically took out half of the inside of the yarn, so it didn't necessarily save me all that much there. And then lastly, as far as how well it holds up like a dream, again, because it's the mercerized cotton. It has that really good structure to it. It doesn't really pill. The yarn has a nice sheen without being shiny. I really like it. So to rank this one, man, see, I want to give it an S, but is that bad to give it like the super ranking right out of the gate from the very first yarn? Because there are yarns I like better than this, but this one does hold up really well. Or do I just give it an A? You know what? We're gonna start off just giving it an A. We're gonna try to save the super ranking for like the really super yarns. But this yarn is solidly in the A rank. Next up is this Stylecraft Impressions yarn. This is a weight 3 acrylic yarn, but y'all, this is not just acrylic yarn. This is soft, plush acrylic yarn. I don't know what they did to this stuff. The way that it is spun has such beautiful loft to it, but that softness and that good squish is not at the cost of pilling. The colorway on this one is so beautiful. And now that I'm talking about it, I don't actually know how many other colors this one comes in. Editing Amanda will tackle that point now. The reason I don't know is because this was a gift from a friend. Thank you, Shannon at the Spoony Stitcher. Go check out her channel. And as far as center pull goes, oh yeah, I was able to get to the center of this really easily. The center wasn't necessarily sticking out, but I could kind of squash the yarn skein and then go into its bowels and find the center pull. And it's been center pulling very nicely since. I've found the yarn very smooth to work with, like buttery smooth, because again, this stuff is so soft. Oh my gosh, I love it. And as far as how well it holds up, it does hold up pretty well. So I use this yarn to make a pair of like leg warmers / ankle warmers, and they held up pretty well. I did wear them out in the woods gathering some kindling, and they did get a little snagged, but honestly, they held up really well in spite of that. And then I also made a little tie for a curtain to pull it back. That's held up very nicely as well. I'm going to put this one solidly into the A category. Next up, I have some Lion brand fisherman's wool that I caked up. This one does not have very many colors. It's a limited color selection. I don't work with wool all that much, but I know sometimes wool can be a little grabby just because it has that tendency to felt. This does not have that issue. It works up really smoothly, which is kind of ironic because it's advertised as being used for felting. Spoiler alert, I've tried felting this yarn. Did not work. But as someone who doesn't really care for wool yarn all that much, I do think it worked out nicely. Trying to get the center pull, yeah, there was no point in even trying to that because it's a good size yarn skein. As far as how well it holds up, well, like I said, I tried to felt this yarn, so I washed it, hot water, all kinds of stuff. It wouldn't really felt, which ironically means it held up really well. At the end of the day, though, this yarn just really doesn't do it for me, and so I'm going to rank it as a D yarn. Vanna's Choice, my longtime love. This yarn you really can't go wrong with, in my opinion. If you're looking for a classic acrylic yarn, Vanna's Choice is my choice too. As far as colors go, phenomenal range of options. Working with this is so nice. I use this yarn as a very beginner crocheter, and I've come back to it many, many times over the years. Every time I'm working with it, it's such a pleasant experience to work with. It's a good balance. It's a good blah, 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 blah. It's a good balance of soft and plush for comfort, while also having enough structure to maintain the integrity of your finished projects. As far as center pull, yeah, I've never had much luck center pulling the Vanna's Choice yarns. Every now and then I can get one to center pull, but yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. As far as how well it holds up long term, I've had good results with this over the years. It is going to get a little bit pilly in the wash, but I'm typically using this for things that I want to have a bit of a loved look to them, like I actually use this and it's gotten a little bit worn, but not worn down. So all in all, I am going to rank Vanna's Choice yarn an A. Apologies if you've been hearing Luma yapping in the background. But moving on to the next yarn, this one might get a little controversial. Homespun yarn. I know so many people don't like it. I still love this yarn. I really do. But if I'm going through my criteria, this yarn does have its flaws. As far as colors, I think this yarn comes in beautiful colorways. Some have been discontinued over the years, but even the ones that are still out there, I think they're gorgeous. As far as how challenging or easy it is to crochet with, this is where I differ from most people. I don't have a hard time working with this yarn. I find it pretty easy to use. I find that it tends to glide really well. And I've been crocheting for long enough and have a good grasp of the structure and anatomy of a crochet stitch. So even though you can't really see the stitches super well with these, I can still feel the stitches really well. So I don't really have issues working with it, but a lot of people do. As far as center pull, I have found these honestly to be pretty great about center pull, both at being able to find the center pull and then for it not tangling with the center pull. So I'm definitely giving it points there. Having said that, on our fourth criteria of how well it holds up, this is where over the years I've been a little let down with this yarn. I still love using it. I will still make things with it. But I will say, because this yarn has a bit of a roving construction, meaning the yarn strand itself is a lot of fluff versus a lot of twist, over time the projects get super, super frayed and pilled and they just kind of like rip apart. Like imagine you had a blanket made of this yarn and then you let a cat use it as a scratching post, you know it's gonna all fluff up. That's what happens to this yarn with normal wear and tear. And so, how to rank this? I still absolutely adore this yarn. I have plans for this exact skein here. But if I'm going with my criteria in the ranking chart, this one's going to earn a C. I already know how I'm ranking this next one. I'm going to go through the criteria, but even if it bombs on all the criteria, I'm still going to rank it the way I'm going to rank it. And that is Truboo yarn. Y'all, I love this stuff. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go through the rank. So first of all is the colors. I love both the color selection and the colors themselves. They have such gorgeous tones, and I feel like all of the Truboo yarn colors are very wearable colors, which is predominantly how I use this yarn. The colors have a really nice richness and vibrance to them, not necessarily in your face, but they're very deep and rich colors. Even this green one that's kind of more of a soft neon green, it still has a depth to the color of it. There's also such a nice sheen to these yarns as far as color goes, so it definitely ranks very high in the color category. As far as ease to crochet with, I personally really like crocheting with it. Some people find that this yarn splits a lot, and I totally get that because it's a bamboo rayon, and so it's very slick and sleek, and so sometimes the ply of the yarn can come undone easily, which means your hook goes through and you get some splitting. Me personally, I've kind of figured out how to get into the rhythm of working with it where I don't have to concentrate on not splitting the yarn. I do have to be mindful of what size hook and what style hook I use, but I've got that figured out. So for me, I find it really nice to crochet with. As far as center pull goes, yeah, whether I can easily get the center pull or not, I kind of force the center pull to happen. These ones are small enough that if I have to reach inside and like disembowel the yarn to get to the center pole, the skein's already small enough that even if I pull out a proportionately large chunk from the inside looking for the center tail, it's not going to be that much that I've pulled out. So for me, I'm going to kind of give it a pass on the ease of the center pole. And then lastly, as far as how it holds, and then lastly, as Luma, you need to knock it off. Thank you. And then lastly, as far as how it holds up, I think this yarn is a dream. It can get ever so slightly pilly. Having said that though, it feels so good on my skin because again, I use this for garments. The colors hold really well. If I do get it dirty or anything, washes clean very easily. And the minimal amount of pilling, it doesn't bother me. It still stays feeling silky smooth, which I love about this yarn. So I should probably dock a rank on this one because of the center pull thing, but I can't bring myself to do that. I'm gonna go against the grain of my own criteria. This yarn is in the super tier. This is elite rank yarn. Next I have Bernat blanket yarn. Colors, okay. I feel like for the most part they have a pretty good selection of colors. However, anytime I'm looking for a specific color in Bernat blanket yarn, they are either out of stock everywhere in that color, they've just discontinued it, or the shade of that color they have is just not doing it for me. I'm gonna dock them a little bit there. I tend to look more at like a Michaels in-store brand versus Bernat if I need a specific color, just because Bernat's always been a little iffy for me with the blanket yarn of whether they have the right color and tone and shade that I actually want. As far as ease to crochet, I think it works up really nicely. And I love that the yarn's so thick because I can use a jumbo hook with it. It means things work up quickly. Solid option in my book. Center pull. Yeah, sometimes I can make the center pull happen. Usually I can't though, but I don't really find that it tangles up all that badly if I'm going from the outside pull. I mean, granted, this is obviously a disaster. And then as far as how well it holds up, honestly, I do think this yarn holds up really well. I've made water balloons out of these. They've sat outside, got a little like moldy, sketchy, yucky. Ran them through the washing machine and the dryer. Came perfectly clean. The mold and gunk did not come back. Smelled good, did not unravel. So honestly, props to this yarn for being fairly durable in a machine wash. With all that said, I think I would rank this yarn a B. All right, a few more yarns to go through. Next up is Petite Pearl from Michaels. This is from their Loops and Threads line, and I was pleasantly surprised with this yarn. It's a very fine chenille yarn. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but honestly, it worked up really cute and really soft. I made a Santa hat out of it, and I might do a video tutorial on that this year come Christmas time. We'll see if that actually happens or not. And it worked up like a dream. So if we're talking about how easy it is to crochet with, yeah, this stuff was so buttery soft. I loved it. So plush when it works up. As far as colors, Michaels has some really cute colors, and I pretty much really like all the colors, but I feel like there's not quite as many options as I would like. Having said that, my Michaels store is very small compared to ones I see in other places of the country, so maybe online they have more colors. I'm just kind of going off of what I know. As far as center pull, this thing was so jumbo, and I tried to center pull it, and yeah, it was not a good experience. I am basing this off of just one skein of yarn, so maybe it was just I had a bad skein, but my center pull experience with this was not pleasant. Yeah, it was a whole project. It was a big tangle knot on the floor. Probably took like 30 minutes to cake this up. But as far as how well it holds up, it's held up beautifully. I wore that Santa hat last year as just my winter hat. I wore it outside working in the woods. I wore it into town, and it held up really well. So this yarn, I am going to give it an A rank. And speaking of that Santa hat, that perfectly leads me to this next yarn. This is Hirschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn. What does this have to do with the previous yarn? This is the yarn that I used to make the white brim of my Santa hat, which I actually tripled up this yarn to make it about the same thickness as the Petite Pearl yarn. So I didn't technically work with the yarn at its normal width. Having said that though, even tripled up, again, buttery soft, it was a dream. I really like lightweight yarns, like a 2-ply, weight 2 fine yarn. And this stuff would be a great option if you want a really buttery soft, nice to work with, fine weight yarn. As far as the color option on this yarn, I don't know. This is a gift from my friend Shannon as well. I'm going to pop up with the colors it's available in so you can kind of see. Editing me is going to explain what my ranking is on that category. Easy to crochet with, beautiful. Center pull, the center pull was really easy to get to. It was amazing. As far as how it holds up, it's held up really well for me. Honestly, you know what, as far as a fine weight yarn goes, this one's gonna get an S rank. This is Elite Super Tier yarn. Then I have some chenille from Hobby Lobby. I can never remember the name of this. The name of it is popping up on screen. It's just a lightweight chenille yarn. As far as color goes, the selection's fairly limited. Having said that, the colors they have it in are the colors I gravitate towards, like just really rich, moody earth tones and jewel tones. They have some with the sparkle. Yeah, I love those as well. So while the colorway is limited, it's very much my kind of colors, so it still gets a decent score in the color category. As far as ease to crochet with, overall I found it very easy to crochet with. Unraveling can be a little tricky. I won't say that it won't unravel, but if you're doing amigurumi, you're probably working your stitches pretty tight, and if you're doing that, you might have a hard time unraveling. When I do a project with a larger hook that's a looser thing, no issues unraveling though. Center pull, you know, they're kind of hit or miss, these ones, with whether you can get to the center pull or not. The skein's small enough that you can kind of dig in there to disembowel it, but I wanted to say the center pull is easy to find. And whether you're pulling from the center or the outside, just the nature of the chenille yarn is the skein it comes in tends to kind of collapse and get a little tangly, which is why I cake up these yarns. As far as how it holds up, for me, it's held up just fine. So when we put that all together, I'm going to give this a B rank. Not a go-to yarn, but definitely I'll use it again if the project calls for it. Second to last, I have Universal Yarns Bamboo Pop yarn. This is a 50-50 cotton bamboo yarn. Love this stuff. Colorways, so cute. They have variegated ones. I find it really easy to crochet with. It's a very fine, lightweight yarn, which I love. It does have a tendency to split like a lot of those bamboo rayon type yarns do. I find it has a little bit more tendency to split than the Truboo, and I think it's because this is such a finer yarn, so I'm already going smaller with my hook, and the smaller hook just means it's easier for the hook to punch between the fibers and the ply of the yarn strand. With that said though, I don't think it's hard to work with or anything like that. Personal opinion, but I'm kind of okay with splitting. I don't mind undoing a stitch and redoing it to get rid of the split. Center pull, oh, well, guess what guys? It already comes nicely caked. So whether I center pull or pull from the outside, it works really nicely. I think I've done both with these. I think I've pulled from the outside and just put like a cardboard tube or something on the inside. I've also pulled from the center, and yes, it does start to collapse, but even as it was collapsing, it kind of stayed in that nice donut shape. So I just kind of kept it flat. Even though it collapsed, it didn't get tangled up. So really nice experience there. And as far as how it holds up like a dream. I have crocheted a top with this yarn and I throw it in the washing machine. I dry it a little bit and then hang it up to dry the rest of the way. Shows no signs of wear and tear. So Bamboo Pop is going to get an A from me. And then last of all, we have the Juicy Couture yarn. I'm so mad at myself that I haven't actually made a project with this yet. I started a project with it, I overcomplicated it, I unraveled it, and said I'm going to come back to it, and I haven't come back to it yet. But let me tell y'all, this yarn, oh my gosh, this yarn, working with it, literally it's the best chenille I've ever worked with. There is zero shedding with the chenille yarn. You know how chenille yarn, you cut it and it's like the little poofs everywhere, or you go to frog it, unravel it, and there's the little poofs everywhere, and then the chenille breaks? Does not happen with this. I was so impressed, especially because it's like name brand and therefore more expensive. I was like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth the hype? Yeah, it honestly has held up so well for me working with it. When I was starting my project that I overcomplicated, I did a bunch of crocheting, undoing, trying a bunch of different things. You would never be able to tell what I have put this yarn through. As far as colors go, it is a limited color option, so it's not like you're going to be able to find any color for any project in this yarn. Having said that, the colors it is available in are colors that I like, so I'm not going to dock too many points on it from the color selection. Because honestly, look, sparkly hot pink yarn. Who cares what any other colors are? If you have sparkly hot pink yarn, you basically have all the colors you need, right? What other color could you possibly want? No, I just love the color of this yarn. I think it's so fun. Again, the ease to crochet with, fabulous. Center pull, I'm going to be honest, I caked up all of my skeins of these, and I do not remember if I had an easy time getting to the center pull or not, so we're just going to kind of leave a question mark there. And then as far as how it holds up, I can't honestly say that I have made a finished project and used it, but I feel confident in saying this yarn has really good durability, simply from the fact of how many times I crocheted and unraveled and all the things I put this yarn through while I was trying to design my project and just overcomplicated that. So the Juicy Couture, it makes it into the super category. This was a good chance for me to go through my yarn and get inspired for some different projects because I am getting back to crocheting because Luma has been being a very mature grown-up puppy lately, except when she was yapping her head off earlier. But in a lot of ways, she's been able to earn some independence, which has meant I'm also able to have some independence and some crochet time. So now I want to hear from you all. What do you think about my ranking and how would you rank the yarn you have? Let me know what is the absolute best yarn you've ever worked with and the absolute worst yarn you've ever worked with. I want to compare notes and maybe you guys will give me ideas for a new yarn to try because, you know, I probably do need more yarn, right? Right? Don't we all need more yarn? Thanks so much for watching to the end. I will link to my yarn playlist right here if you want to go see more of my thoughts on yarn, different yarn reviews, all the yarny goodies, yarn hauls. Go check that out after you leave a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time. Happy crafting!